Hello and welcome to the show. We are here today on BeamNG Drive, going to be, well, taking some more vehicles around the Proving Ground circuit and driving them till destruction. We start with what is a little bit of a crime against cars, but thankfully it's just a game because we have a Mazda Cosmo. Yes, this is actually a really rather cool mod. Sadly, doesn't really have working sound. It's unbelievably quiet, and if I make it loud enough that you'll hear the car, anytime there's a crash, it will explode your speakers. I don't know why. I have this issue with Beam. Sometimes modded cars sound very quiet. I'm not sure whether it's my Beam or whether it's how the mods work. Whatever it is, I tried to fix it. It's going to be a very barely heard Cosmo, but the rest of the vehicle is actually all there. So we are going to set off with this and see how it fares. Of course, this is a very classic sports car. Suspension-wise, I'm not quite sure what it's got, but we may well have a little bit more of the Wobble-matic, but it's not quite going to be like the big American boats. Not quite. It's quite bouncy. That's what I will say. It is pinging around across these bumps relatively spectacularly. Does give me some concern. We see this with the off-roaders actually, but anything with very soft suspension, the bouncing can actually cause it grief because, you know, it goes across a bump and it doesn't really stop having issues, or it lands a big jump and then it pings back up into the air and you kind of have like a secondary crash or a roll or something. So it's stuff we've got to be aware of with this sort of car. In general, the softer suspension should absorb the bumps a little bit better, or at least for a while until it breaks. If it's getting chucked around like that, you know, that might lead it to break a little bit sooner, shall we say. Right, into the spin as we go. Now, we should have no issues whatsoever getting through there. It's a small, light, agile vehicle, and not particularly broken as of yet. Concerns as far as survivability goes, well, drive shaft could be a factor, though I don't know how strong it's going to be. I say mostly the wheels, let's face it, that's with a lot of things. But the way the suspension is, I feel like there's going to be one hit and something's going to collapse and then it's going to become incredibly problematic. That's what I'm going for here. Could be wrong, might just be radiator followed by overheating. It is a rotary, after all, overheating not out of the realms of possibility, shall we say. Oh, we're going to be very sideways through there, it's fine. It doesn't drive too badly out here on the dirt, across Dover we head. I mean, plus point is, unlike the big American cars, it is at least light. You know, there isn't that huge amount of weight over these jumps, so when it does land on the ground on this sort of soft suspension, hopefully it won't damage itself too much. That being said, is it leaning to one side? Difficult to tell. I talked about this a little bit before, but sometimes if stuff starts getting bent, it's difficult to tell whether it's suspension that's collapsing or whether like bodywork is twisted that makes it look like the car's leaning to one side or another. We clonk across another jump, and I do apologise to Cosmo fans out there. Don't worry, it's just a game. I love the Cosmo almost as much. It's a wonderful classic car. We're going to jump across some speed, but it handles those speed bumps very well. I mean, that's always the nasty landings. It's lost a wing mirror, I think, pinged off the front. Ooh. Rear left has gone. We have no rear left suspension anymore. That's a concern. So now we start to have handling issues, of course. As the suspension goes, well, the car's not going to drive properly anymore, and we don't want to spin at a critical point. We don't want to spin going up a jump. Oh, or that. That we don't want. Ow. That's the end of Cosmo. I didn't think, but with the rear suspension down, the car's running lower to the ground, and I guess the bottom caught on a rock and just snap goes the drive shaft when it hit. Ooh, that's unlucky. I mean, that's suspension failure leading to catastrophic drive shaft issues on the shallow grade. We've seen cars break down. It's normally the checkerboard that gets them. We've seen had other issues into this section, but yeah, ouch. That is the end of the Cosmo. I mean, it was spectacular, at least. Up next, we move to a Chevrolet Caprice, but of course, as you can see, far from a normal version. This is a big lifted off-road estate car. A curious selection of words. Estate car, good. The rest of it, I mean, should be good for this circuit at the end of the day. Now, the Caprice and the was it Oldsmobile? Well, Regency, that's the one. I think that's Oldsmobile. Whatever it is. These two vehicles share a similar platform and often have radiator failure and overheat very quickly. That's what we've seen from this car in the past. And I'm hoping this version, maybe, can have its radiator survive. For a bit longer anyway. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll survive for a really long time. It's difficult to tell. Sometimes the lifted versions don't go so well. But we will wait and find out. This has got quite a lot. Oh god, it's got quite a lot of ground clearance. Quite a lot of leaning. I'm going to go ahead and say, and quite a flappy spare tyre at the back, but that's okay. Right, so we have, oh god, a lot of ground clearance. But I'm not sure a lot of strength with that ground clearance. It already feels like something's gone wrong. It does look like it's tipping over, doesn't it? Have we broken something in the suspension immediately on this? It feels quite like the rear right might be busted. Oh, okay, no, maybe it's just very softly sprung and it just tips going around. I mean, I guess I could... I feel like this might actually... it's kind of more trophy truck suspension nearly. I'm not sure about this. It is all-wheel drive. I've locked the diffs because, well, I'm half expecting us to lose a wheel at some point. You see, with these the added ride height, we see it with SUVs actually sometimes in these destruction series. The added ride height can actually be a hindrance because it makes it a lot more likely to roll over in event of a crash, and because the wheel's so far away, oh, we do struggle to turn through there. We can make it. But because, I say the wheels are so far away, because there's so much sort of suspension travel, the wheels are often quite exposed in a roll, and they snap off, basically. We've seen it a number of times with cars. Not around here, slightly less likely. The jumps don't tend to lead to very many rolls, but it is something you've got to be aware of with the cars. Oh, here we go. It's a big bounce on the landing. I mean, that's good. The radiator is protected, at least, so we might make it around... No, don't. No. Don't say anything. I know the power of the commentator's curse. I certainly should have learnt by now. Sometimes it's fun to tempt fate, but sometimes we're going to try and not. Let's see what we do over Dover. Now, this jump can cause issues for cars because it's not a particularly big run-up. For our off-roader, however, well, I think it's sort of explorer, technically, it's pretty good, actually. It landed a bit heavy on the front corner, but the suspension is currently doing its job. It is... oh, the front does look a little bit now low, maybe? It's not too bad. I think the front is slightly stiffer than the rear. Might not be a bad thing, although, I don't know. It's hard to tell whether the front left looks a little bit busted or whether it's just the suspension sorting itself back out. Kind of, I guess, going back into it. Oh, the steering is slightly twisted. Oh, there's the bounce and the roll. It's lost all of the roof rack bits. Thankfully, nothing too important. Can we flip you over? Come on. Come on. There we go. Oh, no, too far now. God darn it, Jeep. That's a bit of the side. There we go. That's a Jeep. Right, we're back on the wheels. Engine, I mean, it burns a little bit of oil, or starved of oil, sorry, when it's upside down. That is the punishment for a car having a flip. I'm not allowed to turn the engines off. If they get damaged in the roll, that's, I mean... So it's the downside of this sort of vehicle. The soft suspension can lead to bouncing, can lead to awkward landings. I mean, again, is the bodywork twisted on the frame? Is the frame twisted? Is suspension twisted? There's certain some damage has been done to this vehicle. It's not in great shape here. We are going to be nice and, let's say nice and carefully across there. We're across the water, no problem. The radiator, most importantly, the radiator is fine in all of that. So, as far as hoping we have a version of this car that the radiator can survive a little bit, seem to be going okay. Now, steering getting broken is a real concern for me in this. We saw how close this is actually to not getting through the spinners. If this takes heavy damage, if we have some big issues with this car in terms of the steering, I could see this getting really stuck. Now, it can't carry the same speed through here as the Cosmo. It couldn't when it was pristine because it's just such a much bigger car, such a larger vehicle that I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful. The spinners is a difficult thing to gauge, so yeah, I'm going to be a little bit more careful through there, but it is perfectly okay, perfectly comfortable driving through there. Not comfortable driving up there. That's a huge wheelie. This could lead to a loss of a wheel. Radiator's gone. Oh, Christ, that's a huge crash. Oh, that's, yeah, so the suspension's bouncy now. I don't know what damage that might be from, but whatever it is, it's going to give us grief. It's going to lead to some big crashes. It's kind of a shame the radiator's gone, because it means that it's probably going to overheat fairly quickly, rather than any other, what's a more interesting damage. Is that front wheel? I think we've pushed the front wheel all the way up into the wheel well. I don't even know if it's touching the floor anymore. Great. That's what we need. We'll shed some more bits of car. That's fine. We'll make it lighter. That's good, right? Oh, both the front bits are stuck. The front wheels are pushed all the way up. We now got a dragster spec suspension. Concerns? Many. Mostly my lack of steering. I mean, it's dragster spec suspension and about dragster levels of turning on this. We're going to actually make this corner? We might do. I think the engine's going to blow up soon. Oh, brake. Oh, okay, we just clipped the post there. Well, that's fine. The fuel can's hanging off at the back. We may be about to get quite badly broken over these bumps. No, we got across there fine. The engine's overheating. It might well go pop any second now, or we might end up losing the front wheels entirely. If we can get it to the water, maybe we can get a little bit of a refreshing drink. Just try and cool the engine temps a bit. It won't be a permanent solution, not with this engine. I know this engine overheats very quickly. I think it's about to go bang. It has gone bang. Ah, just as we get it to the water, the engine goes pop. And into the water we go. I mean, it's cooled. It's not going to tell. The engine's already seized. So it's cooled. It's cooled a little bit. Just drink, car, drink. It'd be funny if it worked. I'm pretty sure it's not going to. Once the engine's locked. I don't think there's any recovering from that one. But I say that's okay. It was a spectacular run. Yeah. Huge crash led to the failure. The suspension at the front end was gone. I mean, it was only going to be a matter of time. If the radiator was fine, it was only going to be a matter of time before the radiator went snap, because, I mean, that's running so front down, it's going to take a lot of damage, or until it broke something equally important, really. It just turns out the Caprice and Regency are not built to survive around this course. We'll give it a try to start. Nope. Not going to be any going there. Well, there we have it. That is the end of the Chevy. Up next, we have got a truck. Yes, we have got a T-Series that is going to run around here. This is one of the bigger versions. I think it's T75, if I remember correctly. Now, we have had a truck go before around this. It was like the dump truck that went around. It was spectacular. It actually did pretty well. This circuit not as awful for the trucks as previous tracks have been. So, maybe we can see something equally impressive from this. I mean, it's being hopeful. The big concerns with this, and what's tended to kill... Okay, well, two things kill the heavyweight vehicles in the past. One, drive shaft. The drive shaft is, you know, it's front-engined and rear-wheel drive bit, so you've got a long drive shaft. It's got a long way to travel. Now, this circuit kills drive shafts. The way the landing jumps are, it bends chassis and leads to drive shaft snapping. We've seen it time and time again. So that is big concern number one. And of course, with the truck being as heavy as it is, there's so many forces going through it, so much momentum going through in the crashes. While yes, it's heavier duty than a car, you've still got a lot of weight and a lot of energy going through the vehicle. It does tend to snap drive shafts. The other thing is, if the frame gets bent and the drive shaft doesn't snap, often you get rear wheels kind of off the ground, and that can then lead to drive issues. The truck just not being able to put any power down. Now, I do believe that this can go through the spinners, much like we saw with the Chevy. It can do it, but it is only just. So yeah, it's going to be slow through there. I can't attack that corner with any sort of speed because while this fits, it is an only just. So it's going to have to be careful. In some ways that makes life a little worse for the truck because any slight steering issues are going to be amplified. You know, trying to get through there when it's already a bit of an iffy fit. We do start having steering damage to the truck. We might have trouble with the spinners. It's a jump for the first time. It's a good landing. Actually lands quite nice. Flat, level, doesn't bounce about too much, doesn't look like too much shock actually went through the vehicle. It haven't really bent anything. That's a good sign. Shafted is probably the main concern for this truck due to the speed that it's going to be, well, taking that jump at. Dover could also be... Well, Dover's more likely to probably land on the nose for the truck, so it just doesn't turn the corner so well. Oh, yeah, we just land square on the nose. We lose the radiator, of course, overheating could be an issue for this. It seems like it's okay. Did we knock the bonnet ever so slightly free, but nothing too bad. It's actually not a bad first lap. The heavyweights said do not have a good track record. While yes, a van currently leads around here, that was a little bit unusual as well to see the van do so well. We'll see what this can manage. The front wheel maybe looks a little bit bent. Currently, yeah, it's pulling a little to the left. Nothing chronic though. Across the jumps, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I mean, these are big landings that cause issues for a number of vehicles. Oh, that landing there's a bit scary. It's the bounce. It's almost the secondary landing that's the bigger problem. The first landing, it flies flat, level, hits the ground, and then it pings it back into the air. And then what happens after that is the scary part, because then you don't really have. It's not really a sensible takeoff. I'm worried I'm going to end up in the, well, either in the wall or in the start-finish gate, and be completely out of my control, and it ends up over there. Through the water, no problem at all. Across the checkerboard again, unless we've got anything already damaged. I don't think it's going to make... I don't think we're going to damage anything across there. You know, with the Cosmo, it doesn't surprise me it tore its drive shaft off across that section, or some of the vehicles have lost drive shafts and so on. This, I would be really surprised if we ever saw. I think if we got to the stage where this was so damaged it did more to it on those obstacles, I think it would probably be already broken, if that makes sense. I can't know, who knows. This is Beam, this is driven till destruction, sometimes weird things happen, so let's not tempt fate. There's a gear in there somewhere to get us through, lovely stuff. Still got the steering. I'm worried, but for now, we are all good. We're across the bumps. Across the bumps we go. Let's throw the truck around a little bit. So the other thing to watch out for is any of the rear wheels start getting lifted off the ground and it will stop. Diffs just won't let it put any power in it. I think I have a lock of some sort here that I can apply if needed. Ugh. I'm very, very worried about the rear wheels. Naturally, that's what tends to kill these trucks. The fact that it's got this far is better than most T-series have done in previous series. Most die on the first heavy landing because the drive shaft goes snap. So this one is doing good. We're heading up towards Dover. The front ends, I mean, the worst damage has been the front bumpers come off and the bonnet is a bit loose. Which, as far as a destruction circuit goes, that's not too shabby. The bonnet's now looser than it was, but it's still on. I guess there's a little bit tweak to the steering. The steering geometry is off. There we go. That's the one. I might be over-revving it a bit. I should probably be a little bit more careful with the engine. You know, don't want that to go bang. The steering has got worse. I've just seen it pulls. The default position for the wheels is quite far to the left. Okay, gonna have to take that into consideration now while navigating the course. We had a little bit of a bounce on that landing. This is where it's sketchy. Come on, truck. Okay, good. I took off the jump slightly aiming towards the wall, my hope being that it would bounce to the left a bit, and it did. That's a risky strategy, but it does seem to be the way it's going for the landings, so I think I'm going to have to just go with it and hope. Yeah, I mean, you're asking for trouble. If you do that and you get it wrong, you bounce towards the wall. If you don't do that and it does bounce left, you land slap bang in the middle of the circuit and you bounce towards the sort of gantry, the start-finish gate. So, either could have a bad outcome. I mean, I guess you point it to the wall enough so that if it bounces, it gets away with it, but not so much that if you're wrong, it doesn't hit the wall, I guess. There's a very small line we're going to have to aim for there. We'll worry about that when we get to the jump. We might be so broken by the time we get to the jump that we can't even... we don't have to worry about that, so... it's not an issue for now. Oh, that's shaken everything. It's a tough old thing, this. I will give credit where credit is due. This is definitely a tough old truck. This is where I'm nervous. Oh, it's only just making it through there. It becomes increasingly difficult to position it because, I mean, it's slightly unpredictable. Basically, I've got to try to hold the steering at exactly the right point, and it's different now every time we go there, and progressively more difficult. Please don't bend your front wheels anymore, or bend them back the other way. Can we do that? Is that how this works? If I crash it, can I crash it to bend them the other way? No, we're just going to keep landing awkwardly. It's fine. I mean, the rear wheels are okay. Again, for now, we still have drive. This drive shaft itself is still working. Yeah, we're not got any wheels off the ground, so the diffs just spin. That's all good. I think Dover is what makes the steering worse. There's nothing I can really do about it. It's what this jump does, is the way this jump tends to end is trucks or vehicles landing heavily on the front of them. We have pinged the bonnet. I mean, the bonnet's loose, but it's not really coming off here. Oh, we'll just slide the truck around on the dirt. Yes, that's how it goes. I feel like the steering has got worse this lap as well. Oh, clonk again. It's now pulling very badly to the left. At the rate we're going, I fear a spinner death might be incoming. I fear a spinner death from steering trouble is going to be in our future, but you never know. Oh, yeah, we're really pulling badly to the left now. Oh, come on. Oh, he rolled it. That's just made the steering even worse now. Every one of those hits, every hit on the front is bending the steering more and more to the left. Problem is, not only am I now worried about the spinners, of course, that's a big concern, but we're actually going to start having issues taking off from jumps properly, because it's just the truck is going to be moving around so much. Just not be in the right position ever. We may even start being in diff trouble. If we lose front suspension, the truck might actually like tip over on itself and not have the rear wheels touch the ground properly even. Oh! Definitely sliding if we chuck the truck to the left, so it's a problem in many ways. I don't even have to steer around it. I have to counter steer around this corner because otherwise the truck takes the hairpin too tightly. Oh, spinners. Please be kind. It's not what I need. This is not what I need at all. Ah, okay. In we go. I know it's practically at walking speed here, but... Oh! Okay, well, the front's come off. It took the radiator with it. Probably the least of my concerns, really. Somehow that's all it did. It's lost the bumper and knocked the radiator out, but that could have been a whole lot worse. Next lap around, I'm worried, because we've now got A, no more protection on the front. It is literally, we're going to land on those wheels. And B, it's getting worse every lap. That time around, it was just the radiator. If that spinner clips a wheel, we're done for. Oh, no. Bit too much oversteer. Okay, now allowed to grab reverse, of course, if I've done a silly goof like that. Oh, are we stuck? I'm not actually sure what we're stuck on there. Is there a bit of terrain, perhaps? Come on, truck. Are we good? Oh, have we done? We might have done something worse. Maybe. No, we seem to get going. Might have been the bumps on the ground that left the vehicle with a wheel in the air and just wasn't able to put any power down. It does seem to be going, but I mean, that steering's really bad. Most of these left-hand corners I don't even need to steer for. I'm, in fact, having to steer out of them because it's, yeah, this little bit around here we are, but it's only a tiny bit. Straight on the nose. Please don't break the front anymore. You've got to, well, I think I'll survive a bit longer. How far did the... I can't remember what lap, how the distance of what lap the other truck got to. Regardless of whenever this goes out, this is a great performance from a truck, from vehicles that have traditionally really struggled around these sort of circuits. This is doing very, very well. I am very worried about tackling the spinner again, though. I feel like it's almost guaranteed to cause it grief this time about. Oh, there's a gear. Do we need 7th is working? We might need 8th here. Come on, truck. Well, yeah, it's kind of got the let's say got the knack. Oh, it's very... I even need to... I steer way too much standard... Uh-oh. Okay, yeah, it still bounces to the left quite heavily on impact. Yeah, just without touching the steering, it makes almost all the left-hand corners around here. That's scary broken on the steering front. Can we survive the spinners again? Is it going to be able to make... Thankfully, at least the wheels are still turning the other way. Like, it has still got enough steering lock to turn the other direction. That's helpful. Could really do with a crash. Can we land on the front left corner, maybe? Front left corner while we're steering right might bend it the other way? Dunno. Hard to tell. Or might just snap it. That's also a distinct possibility. You never really know. Could work. Wonders. We have occasionally... It's rare, but occasionally we have... got to sort of crash the vehicle to fix a vehicle, or it has had the side effect of fixing it. It's bent steering back into place and all of that good stuff, but you're asking for trouble if you're doing that. Oh, there's a wrong gear in there. Was going to be quicker on the exit. That time we got it nailed. We got through it. It was, I mean, it's fiddly, and so you have got no margin for error. That time we got it right. Okay, the shafted jump is coming up next. The radiator's gone. It's not really overheating, though. I guess that will kill it eventually. If it's going to kill it quicker than steering, whether it would go, oh. Oh, that's a big bounce. I fear that might have broken the steering even more than it was already. It still turns... Jeez. This has got so much steering lock. That's how we're still going. If this has been one of the... Let's say one of the race cars or... You know, sometimes you get vehicles... What's it, the Satsuma? That often gets its steering rack bent. And that very quickly gets to a point where it can't sort of turn the other direction of the way it's bent. Because this truck's got so much steering lock, it's actually getting away with it. Again, this is a 4 now, though. This is not sustainable in any way. This is going to cause it grief, whether it be awkward across the crescendo jump, the one we're heading up towards now, towards the start-finish line, whether it's awkward across one of these, whether it leads to one of the front wheels pinging off. I don't know. I fear the spinners, because all it's going to take is a little mistake, just not quite in the right place at the right time, and it's gonna get into grief through there. Here we go. What can we do across this jump? Okay, we're in the middle of the road. Oh, we've lost a tyre. Oh, steering's even worse now, I think. Yeah, so that was it. Bounced the other way that time around. Oh, the back of the the like sleeper cab part is falling off. Well, that's new. That's detached. It's not really significant, mind. How is this engine not overheating? I mean, I get it's a tough engine and everything, but maybe it's just a very small radiator. It was a small glance, although... Oh, dear. Okay. Are we going to go? We're not going very quickly. We'll grab it in reverse. What has got on? Why are you not reversing? It's spinning those side wheels. Now, is the puncher giving us this grief? There we go, we're going again. It definitely wasn't happy reversing. So there might be more suspension back there than we... more damage back there than we realised. We've mostly been focusing on the front end of the truck. Now, in fact, you could see where the rear wheel was punctured, how it's actually twisted it. So it's now at a funny angle. We've got toe out going on. Great, that's what I need. Add something to my already quite significant handling difficulties. Might explain why we spun a little bit, other than me being a bit stupid. But, yeah, these handling issues are just going to keep getting worse and worse like that. Christ. Oh, yeah, it's not good. Radiator's going to get knocked clean off of it. That front wheel took an almighty whack. Radiator's actually just been ripped off. Oh, that's a lucky truck. It's not in a good way anymore, though. The wheel got whacked. I'm surprised it didn't just snap it clean off. One exhaust stack has fallen. The handling is shot. Again, it's just even more. Exhaust is now damaged. Thank you, game, for letting me know of that one. Oh! That's an awkward hit. The exhaust has now fully come off. The radiator's still there. I would try and get it with a node grabber, but I might just break more if I try and do that, so it's going to stay there. I mean, the engine's staying cool. It is literally now the first thing that's going to hit a spinner. If we get clipped by the spinner, it's bye-bye truck. It's not going to... The spinner is just going to decimate the engine at this point. Oh, okay, maybe not 7th gear up there. One of those jumps might just decimate the engine, to be fair, because it's however many tons of truck, a good few tons of truck landing almost direct on the engine at this point. The distance is going well. The distance is going very, very well indeed for this. I'll be much more focused on the incredible extent to the damage we've got going on to actually know if that distance indicator is completely correct. They are not always, but does seem to be doing mighty well indeed. Come on, truck. We can do this. We've never had a heavyweight vehicle survive like this. I mean, we're really fighting against the truck now. It's in a bad way, aren't it? Oh, it's in a really bad way now, but we're still going. Spinner, I think, might claim it. I'm going to do my very best not to feed it to the spinner, but I'm basically having to counter steer almost the entire way around a lap to keep it going in a straight line at this point. If it doesn't get chomped, I think it'll probably still take some damage, but here we go. We're through kind of bumpy chicane. Shallow grave. Cool the truck. Not that the truck's really got any temperature-related issues at the moment. That engine is strong. It's still going. We're across the checkerboard. Not that it really does much, as I said, to this truck. The front wheels, I mean, they look so... they look so spindly, just stuck out there. And with there's so much weight behind it, I'm amazed they're still hung on. They have some seriously strong, sort of like lower suspension arms going on there, because they're taking a good old whack through here. Right, handling issues galore. Can we actually still make it through the spinners? It turned into the first part. Come on! Oh, we're out the second part. It took a massive whack. How is it still alive? The cab bit is about to fall off, but basically it's so broken it's going to take a whack on the spinners, but it survives. It rides out the hit. I mean, if it survives it again, it starts getting to almost as far as the work truck. Could this challenge the van? Oh no, the piston rings are damaged. The steering's also let it all the way off towards the wall there. The engine's at danger of overheating now. Oh, come on, truck, you can make this. You can make this. I want the truck to survive a little further, maybe. Oh, come on. I was having to work the engine hard because it doesn't really have much traction properly anymore. Might go up to 8th gear, see if that works. We've got to kind of keep it moving. Heading up towards Dover now. Oh, come on, truck. Oh, that's a big clonk on the front of it. Still fine. Somehow. No one's really sure how. It's being held together by hope, I think, at this point. There's not much left. Hope and, well, I mean, some duct tape wouldn't save this, I think. The only plus point of the engine being down on power is it is going to not be hitting the jumps as fast. Well, the radiator's still flapping. I'm amazed that it snapped off in the 2 spinner hits. The cab is still flapping as well back there. Across the jump we go. The giddy heights of 41 miles an hour. That's not what we needed. We kind of needed to keep momentum up, because if it stops, it might not get going again. We're at that sort of state with the engine here. As you can see from the amount of smoke that is pouring out of it, or steam, all bits that shouldn't be happening, basically. None of that should be happening here. Across the next jump we go. Oh, pulls so badly to the left. Head gasket is damaged. Uh-oh. Come on, truck, you can do this. We're across the speed bumps. Now the 2 tabletops to go. Just keep trucking around. Just keep going. See if we can beat the work van before your engine blows itself to pieces. Or we get undone by the spinners again, because that's how busted the steering is. The rear wheel, I don't think that's got any worse with how far it's sort of towing out. We're snaking our way down the road just trying to keep it together. Come on, engine. Oh, is the engine coughing, or is that just us? No, we still got power. I thought that might have been the engine dying, but it was just us losing sort of traction across the bumps and the engine not having that much power. But it's still good. It's a remarkable feat of endurance. I mean, that's what I love about this series. You never know what's just going to not give up. In this case, it is a T-Series that is simply refusing to die around the Proving Ground circuit, even if it can barely make the spinners. Oh, this is bad news for the truck. Oh, it's really bad news for the truck. It was actually... Okay, it's not completely dead, I don't think. Oh, maybe it is. Right, one of the axles is gone. Do we have enough to drive any of them? Maybe? We've lost a wheel. Come on, truck. Can you do anything? Now, I am going to be allowed... Admittedly, the engine might explode before we can do this. I'm going to be allowed to try and drag the truck out of the grass. So, it could be... Oh, that the truck is just stuck with that terrain. So if I can put it on a flat surface and see if it can still get some drive here. I don't think it's going to work, but we're going to give the truck a chance here. It's going to blow the engine up, I think, in trying this. Come on. Come on, truck. We want to give you as fair a chance. Can you clear 20 miles an hour, though? I think it can. Yeah, it was stuck on a little bit of terrain, but that's okay. We're allowed to drag it clear of those. It's lost a wheel. How is this going? This should not still be going. It's going to burn the engine up faster, but it's still capable of making speed to an extent. It's not very good anymore. I don't know whether that locking of that thing has actually helped at all. The transfer case suggests it's like all-wheel drive? I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is it's still trying to go. Oh, that might be it for drive, though. It does appear to have... Oh, is it going to get enough traction? It's like as soon as it... I think it might be out of drive. I think... Oh, it's put the wheels down again. It's just, can it keep the wheels on the ground for long enough to get drive? I think it might have to get counted out for a crawler rule in a minute. Well, I mean, it's not even counted out for a crawler rule, it's stuck. I mean, I gave it a shot at getting recovered, but I think with that wheel gone, it now... I'll try taking this off and see, does it let us go from here? No, it's busted. Ah, that's such a good performance from the truck. That is such a good performance. I'm amazed the engine is somehow still alive by the end of that. That's incredible stuff. I'm not sure if it's beaten the work van. I'm not sure. I think it's very close. We may have a new leader. We'll find out in a minute. But that is, yeah, that is one stubborn truck. It refused to give up around this. I mean, look at the angle the engine's at from where it should be at. That's how busted that is. It survived multiple hits from the spinner, and it was still going. In the end, the loss of the wheel was too much. We just couldn't get drive on the uneven surfaces. But I am incredibly impressed with that run. We are on to the leaderboard, and we have a new leader. The T75 is going to go to the top of the table, and I never ever expected that. That truck kept on going. I mean, it lost the radiator for a number of laps, and it didn't overheat. It was getting close by the end. It was the loss of the wheel. Well, the steering led to it not being able to fit through the spinners. Once it took out one of the rear wheels, everything was so buckled that it could no longer drive, but that's still an immense performance. It's the best a heavyweight has ever done in one of these series. The Caprice Explorer goes down the way that I sadly kind of expected. The radiator on that car is not strong and overheats so quickly. We've seen it with the Regency, but the Regency off-road is a little further down, again, overheating. I think all of those have gone out with overheating. A little bit of a shame. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened to that car, because the damage was quite impressive up until that point. But, yeah, the radiator was gone, and half a lap later, the engine expires. So, maybe not even that. So, yeah. A little bit of a shame. It put on a spectacular performance for the laps it was running, and the Cosmo... mercifully, it was a short run for the Cosmo. Once the rear suspension was gone, the car was running so low that a rock caught the underside, and that was bye-bye to the drive shaft. Again, might be interesting to see how it would have survived had we not had that, but... yeah, suspension damage leading to a loss of drive shaft is not exactly an uncommon cause of death around this particular track. So... there we go. We have a new leader in this series. We're going to take something special to beat that T series. That though is going to be it for this video. As ever, I shall link all the mods used in the description so you can download them and have a go with them yourself. But that is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.